What is good, my people? We are live back again with another episode of the forecast. Even though we just going on live, and I just wanted to come on here and talk to y'all tonight before I started the next video. I know YouTube is hating a lot, but I'm still gonna try to find a way to get the next videos up. Been working on trying to create a mailing list or something. That way I can, send the videos if YouTube tries to delete them or something like that. But it's all good. I'm still coming back with y'all. So I just wanted to come on before I started the next video and talk to the people. I'm gonna let y'all call in tonight. I just wanted to see what was good with y'all. And lately, I don't know if y'all noticed, but Bernie Sanders, he had just dropped out of the presidential race or whatever. And now I see all of these black people talking about, well, I guess now we have to back Joe Biden, and it's starting to make me, sick. I can't believe like we still go through the same thing. They say just to get Trump out of office, we have to back Joe Biden. But Joe Biden is worse than Trump. He's been saying the same thing Trump has said since the 70s. And Joe Biden has passed laws that Donald Trump only talked about passing, right? Joe Biden has done all of these things. All of these groups are the same. Like, I don't understand why we have to pick between a massa every 4 years. And we happily do it. And then other people in our group beat up some of us for saying, well, we don't need to be voting unless we get something tangible. But we're not going to get something tangible out of this government, out of this system. We have to understand that the system is not built for us. And there's no way we can change the system from within the system. The system just has to be destroyed. And honestly, I'm not mad. I was happy that Donald Trump won the election, because if Hillary Clinton had won, so many people would be okay with it. They would have just fell back and let whatever happened kept happening. But with Donald Trump, now everybody is alert. Everybody is upset about Donald Trump being in office, right? So I'm glad that Donald Trump was elected. If Hillary was elected, we still be in trouble. And like Donald Trump, she's passed so many laws and actually passed these laws against black people. There's no lesser of two evils. There's no such thing. Evil is evil. And we got to understand that. Like, there is no Eddie Murphy. It ain't no evil is good. They're all evil. Right? And I see some of y'all watching. I appreciate it. Like the video. Somebody, you can comment or whatever. But I want to talk about the politics. Yeah, Hush Harbor, she would have been worse. Well, I ain't gonna say she would have been worse. It would have been the same. That's what we have to start understanding. All right, there is no difference. But every 4 years, people try to come to us saying, "Well, we need to get off the Democratic plantation. Well, to go to the Republican plantation, right?" And the same people telling us this, the same white people telling us this, who are mostly white people, they're being used by the Republicans the same way they claim the Democrats are using us. But they'll never understand that because they're so busy worrying about what we doing, right? They tell us, well, look at what Democrats have been doing for the last 50 years. Well, what about the before 50 years ago? It was Jim Crow. So you want us to go back to that? They always talk about how the Democrats are, the party of slavery. But let's be clear, there is no party of slavery. Both sides were completely in slavery. But especially black Republicans, black conservatives, and honestly, I think most black people are conservatives because when you look at the dictionary, the definition of conservative is you want the government to stay out of your business. The problem is in America, nothing is what they say it is, right? The white conservatives want you. want the government to stay out of their business, but they have a problem. They want to reinforce stop and frisk. That's not a conservative idea, but that's what they want. They want the government out of their business. They want the government not to touch their guns. But what happened when black people start talking about holding guns? The NRA, Republicans, they weren't so conservative then. They wanted the government to get involved. And I'm not even going to mention about how the parties switch. But even back during the 1800s, when they say the Democrats were the party of slavery, well, it was a Democrat who signed the 13th Amendment. And by the way, the 13th Amendment does not end slavery. So I don't know why people are saying we need to get over something that's never ended. But it was a Democrat who signed the 13th Amendment. Because they like to say, well, it was a Republicans ended slavery. No, it was a Democrat who signed it. And it was a Republican who ended Reconstruction and took the troops out of the South. Now, it doesn't matter what side it was, but the bottom line is both sides were a part of it. So don't come back later saying, well, the Democrats did this. Well, the Republicans did the same thing. But then you have presidents like Lyndon Baines Johnson, LBJ. He said, I'll have those niggas voting Democrat for the next 200 years. And we damn near at 50 years already. Right? But what the younger generation is starting to break is more so the older generation. And it's the generation that's the children of the civil rights movement. They're kind of like the lost generation that kind of felt like they fit in with white supremacy, right? They were kind of the main generation of the illusion of inclusion, but this younger generation kind of breaking away from religion, breaking away from all of that kind of stuff. It's kind of starting to slowly change. Right. But LBJ did say, I'll have those niggas voting Democrat for the next 200 years. And what he did was take the civil rights movement and used it against us. Right. That's where we started to see the fall of the black family. Yeah, the 13th Amendment. It was more slavery after the 13th Amendment than before the 13th Amendment. Because the key word in the amendment is accept. Right. So if they didn't say who gets to make up the rules, who gets to enforce the laws, any of that stuff, they just said except if you're convicted of a crime. And it's all about politics. Like how prisoners count on the vote, it still counts like black people are 3/5 of human. Sometimes they send, prisoners to certain states like Ohio, just so the electoral count in Ohio is high enough for them to get the vote. Right? The prisoners can't vote or anything, but it raises their amount. It gives them more electoral votes. Right? They still use the same systems. Black man, what's up, man? What's going on, my brother? And Republicans, they always bring up the racist Democrats. Like you have Bill Clinton, who come back apologizing when Hillary Clinton running for president. He made his claim to fame off of going at a black woman, Sister Soldier. Even though she cut him up, he won the presidency off of that. Right? By using groups like the NAACP. And you got to notice that all of these groups that's still around today, because all of the groups that's not around that were actually for black people, they were infiltrated. How do groups like the NAACP last for 100 years? Right? Back in 1930, they might have been talking about something. But by the time you get to 1945, 1950, it's a wrap. What up, D? Exactly. Right? But when you start talking about guns, this liberal country who base their whole principle off their amendments, and the Second Amendment it goes out the window for us, right? Because the 13th and 14th Amendment was supposed to give us citizenship. But when have they ever said we aren't 3/5 of a human? Has there ever been a law that said we aren't 3/5 of a human? We know about Dred Scott. That says any person born in America is a citizen. But we know about the Dred Scott case. It wasn't about him being a person. It wasn't about him being born in America. I mean, it was about him not being a person, and they have to respect the law. Well, we don't. They don't have to respect any of our rights. I'm trying to say. Pastor, what up? Of course, I'm gonna keep speaking, right? But we can look at presidents on both sides. You got Richard Nixon, right, who's supposed to be this all-time great conservative Republican president, but was caught on tape multiple times saying nigga, all kind of racist stuff, right? He pushing the war on drugs. Now, all of that conservatism goes out of the window, right? Because when it comes to our lives, then it's about politics. It's not about life. It's about politics. That's why we have to understand that we are all we got, right? But their values go right out of the window. They have no problem with the war on drugs. And privatized prison only came around in about 1984. And now today, over 2 million people are locked up. Most of it black people, most behind nonviolent drug offenses. So when they try to tell you 50% of the population doing 50% of the murders, that's false. You know, number one, the FBI itself says their statistics is flawed, and at least 17% of the murders go unaccounted for. Number two, the FBI doesn't even have to report everything, right? And when they talk about black on black crime or race on whatever race crime, first they have to know the person who killed the person and the victim. So if they never solve the crime, then they can't classify it. And what counts as the classification? Because we know people like George Zimmerman went in and killed this young black brother just walking down the street minding his business, but he didn't get convicted. So does he count in the murder statistics? But they use these murder statistics to pass laws to come in our come in our communities. Right. His new bill was a slave. You're right, black man. He sat up there and said, I don't care why. He said, I know we are responsible for creating them, but I don't care why. They need to be away from my mother. They need to be away from my child, who happens to be a drug addict himself, of course. He said, I don't care why. So let me ask you, why do you care anything about them? I don't care why they're racist. I just want them away from my mother, right? Because in reality, they are killing my mother. We get to make our choice about our diet, but we only have so many choices in our area. We have limited education about the food we can eat. But we're worried about other people's politics and how they're able to survive. Yeah, it is. And we have to understand the situation that we are in. If we're going to vote, why not vote for stuff that's there to affect us, to help us? Why not vote for, you know, a council to fund and grow black businesses? We can do whatever we want to do. We're in a position where we can create whatever we want to create. We can call ourselves whatever we want to call ourselves. We can build whatever we want to build as long as we got confidence in ourselves. But as long as we're trying to be a part of somebody else's system, we don't have confidence in ourselves. Yeah, like too many of us are saying, well, I just got to vote for Biden just to get Trump out of office. Well, why? What's the difference? Can you tell me one difference between them? It's a lack of knowledge and a lack of confidence in ourselves, right? We're still recovering from what they did to us after the civil rights movement. Because we got to understand during the civil rights movement, right, the people got tired of getting beat up. And that's when the Black Power movement started to come out, right? They got tired of getting beat up, so they started fighting back. It started becoming Black Power. It started becoming, if they take a life, you take one of theirs, if not more. So then they start listening to the civil rights. Then they start talking to the president. It was the Malcolm X, so to speak, not to say it was all Malcolm X. It was the Malcolm X and the Stokely Carmichaels that made the president talk to Martin Luther King. And that's the point, because when we start not participating in their system, then they start to get worried. Then they started to come after all of us. And they started to do things to try to change the world. But we can use all of that stuff to our own advantage and build whatever we want. I got a caller, so I'm gonna go ahead and take the first call. After this, I'm gonna start taking calls. Call from wireless.
Hey, is this the forecast?
Yeah, that's the forecast. You on? What's up?
Hey, what's up? You know what I've noticed? You know, a lot of white Christian artists, I've noticed something.
Hold on. First, hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, first, yeah. I want you to tell the people your name real quick.
Oh, it's Jerome Davis. I'm actually a YouTube subscriber.
Okay.
Yeah, right, you know, I just read.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one time I read an article, and you see like a lot of those white Christian artists, like your Cody Carnes or your Terry Jones and your Toby Mac praying for Trump. And you know, first of all, you call yourself a Christian, and you pray for Trump, who's a known racist. Okay, well, guess what, Cody Carnes? Where were you when the Milwaukee riots were going on and the police shootings of black people? What do you have to say about that? Oh, and I just got done watching the Milwaukee riots. And you know how they were destroying cop cars.
Mm-hmm.
How many of you bet those could have been black Christians in the crowd, and they just kept getting tired of it, sick and tired of being mistreated and disrespected.
Right.
And you know, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Where were those white Christian artists at? You know, it's funny. Every time a white guy enters a black church and kills one of us, we have to forgive them. But if we do far less. Let's say if I were to go to a white church in like Nashville, Tennessee, called the Belonging Company,
mm-hmm.
and I wore a Black Lives Matter T-shirt on the front, and it said "No Justice, No Peace" on the back. How do you think those white folks would react?
Exactly.
Someone that's far less.
Exactly.
They would say, "Oh, it's divisive." Cody would say, "Oh, it's too divisive." Okay, first of all, I got news for you, Cody. The church is divided. The church is divided. The country is divided. So we're not scared of what you think. I mean, a lot of black Christians walked away from the church because they knew you weren't speaking on our issues. People like you weren't speaking on our issues: police brutality, mass incarceration, the crack epidemic, civil rights. What else can I think of? Slavery, oppression. Anything else I'm missing?
No, all of it.
Everything.
Mm-hmm.
We're all children of God, but yet we're all treated differently.
Right. Exactly.
That is contradictory to me. It's so incredible to me.
Right.
Even a blind person can see racism, and that is a shame.
Yeah.
Stealing our inventions, stealing our culture. Not to mention taking credit for what we did. They took credit for what we did and what they didn't do themselves. Yet they want to, and then they turn around and blame us for the conditions that we're in. Well, if you wouldn't have if you would have cleaned up your neighborhood, none of this would have happened. First of all, every time we try cleaning up our neighborhood, you do something to ruin us. You do it all the time. It's a recorded history.
Yeah.
Which is it? You can't have it both ways. Either we pull ourselves up by the bootstraps and get what we want, or you don't want us to have anything. Which is it? You can't have it both ways.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate it.
And they just want us to sit and pray for Jesus. How about pray for Jesus? How about we pray for Jesus, and while you do something, and try to understand what black people in general go through. I may not experience it, but I'm well aware of what goes on.
Right.
Never been in the ghetto myself, but I can understand what's happening.
Right.
It could be any one of us. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you do the right thing or not. We have seen it all the time. Well, okay, and one time I saw a police chase. It was a police chase of a white guy named Cody Wilcoxon, and I believe he was in Missouri. Mm-hmm. And he was open firing while he was fleeing from the cops. And guess what? He got shot, but guess what? They took him in alive.
Yeah. Okay.
Had it been somebody like Kelvin, and the cop said,
"Yeah,
I need to see driver's license papers." And then he said, "Can you?" And he would say something like, "Can you explain why you pulled me over?" And he said, "Stop resisting! Stop resisting! Timothy, you haven't explained to me why you pulled me over."
Right. Yeah, that's how.
That is right there is racist.
Yeah, but yeah. Let me because I want to take kind of a little bit. I don't want the phone call to be too long because a lot of people got cut out last time. So I'm about to put the number.
And to tie all that in, yes, and they view it as politics too. So that tells you right there. Right. Keep it in mind. Listen to the tone. I bet even Stevie Wonder could spot racism somehow.
Right. Mm-hmm.
They don't give a damn if I'm legally blind, black, and Christian. They don't give a damn because we're all viewed as the same way. That's right. Edward Payne. Ask Edward Payne. He got thrown in prison. Benton Harbor, Michigan.
Right. Yeah.
He got thrown in prison over a bunch of nothing, lies.
Yeah.
And the Whirlpool Corporation, guess what? Owned by white people. Threw him in prison over a bunch of lies.
Yeah.
Right. So it does not surprise me.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Yeah. People and Cody's probably thinking to himself, what is this nigger doing here with all this big house and this fancy car? Well, I'm supposed to have it, not this nigger. Never mind the fact that this black guy may have worked hard for it, worked his butt off, like you told him to, and you still don't want him with nothing.
Yeah, but yeah, I appreciate that, sis. I appreciate the call. Let me go back so I can take some more.
Just had to get it off my chest.
Oh yeah, you can definitely call back in, and if I'm about to put the number back up, if nobody else calls in, you can call back and go in some more.
Okay. Sometime you should get Lisa Cabrera, the bottom line with Santee and Torian Rain on there too.
Right.
But they have a whole lot to say, and add on what I just said. Yeah. And if Cody Carnes, if any white Christian artists like Cody Carnes or any of them are listening,
right.
Wonder how they're going to respond to this. I'm sure they're very aware how they see black people in ran down conditions. Many of us don't want to be in this way, but we've been forced to live it. No choice.
Exactly.
And for what? Years and years and years, and yet they wonder why black people riot and attack white people. They wonder why. We don't hate white people for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
It's for years and years of mistrust, and you have to understand, years and years of mistrust and mistreatment. And a lot of us, even the black Christians, are pushing their breaking point. They don't want to put the fear of God in these people. I don't condone it, but I understand it.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. Thank you, sis. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I challenge Cody Carnes or any white Christian artist to tackle the race issue. I bet you they won't. Am I right?
No, they're not going to.
That's my opinion. Am I right?
No, they're not going to deal with it at all. Like, that's why we got.
Oh no, they're not. Yet they say we're all one and we're all the same. Exactly. Well, if we're all the same, you should not be afraid of to tackle race issues. If anything, you're trying to unite and understand what's going on. Not talking about it being divisive more than anything.
All right, sis. I appreciate it. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye. Yeah, the sister made a lot of good points. Especially the point about uh, yeah, especially the point about the black churches and how they're used, especially when it's tied into the politics and the political aspect, and how all of these preachers from both sides. You remember the preachers for Trump last time, and of course the preachers that stand up for Hillary Clinton. The only time you see these politicians in the black church is election time, right? But we have to start creating organizations away from the church, because it hasn't been working the same for the last 30 years. We've been losing so much money inside of these churches, and they have ulterior motives, right? The church used to be a place where the people can meet up in peace and discuss our own politics, not a place to go to discuss other people's politics. That was the power of the church. It was the only place where the people can gather and talk. Now the church is being used against us. So we have to come up with other ways to have political meetings to discuss what we want to do, come up with our own candidate, because people say the all of these black people died for us to have the right to vote. And there were a lot of black people like Fred Shuttlesworth who went hard to make sure black people could vote. But they didn't die for the right to vote. They were killed while they were trying to vote. And it wasn't for the right to vote. It was for the right to have representation. They wanted to vote so they can vote in their own people in their own districts, not to choose between the lesser of two evils. But I'm gonna go ahead and take some phone calls, and we're gonna keep it kind of short because a lot of people didn't get in last time, and I don't want to make it too long. My charger not really working on my phone, but I'm gonna put the call in number on the screen, and the call in number is 804-601-4015, and you can go ahead and call in whenever. But yeah, we have to start learning how to come up with our own politics, right? None of this was meant for us. We shouldn't be deciding how do we like our white supremacy with a smile and stabbing us in the back, or just out in the open playing racism. And by the way, I prefer the out in the open racism. When somebody tries to tell us that we can't come into one of their establishments and eat, I'd rather that, so I don't spend my money there. You understand? But you can call in, because I'm not gonna be on here too long, because I want to get to work on the next video. I'm not sure if I can get it posted on YouTube. I'm working on trying to come up with a mailing list or something where I can give you the video straight to you, but the videos is too large to send on the email. I got to figure something out. But the call-in number is 804-601-4015, and I want to hear from the people. But I don't understand why so many of our people, even just doing in the Democratic primaries, there wasn't anybody out there for us, from us. There wasn't anybody we specifically set out there to run and do things for us. And at the end of the day, we honestly don't need their politics. We can do whatever we need to do by ourselves. It doesn't take politics, it doesn't take us voting to not go support their businesses and to create our own businesses. It doesn't take us voting to start supporting each other more and to help each other. It doesn't take politics for us to stop bashing each other, black men and black women on each other, or just black men in general, or whatever. We don't have to be fighting each other. It don't take voting for any of that. Right? The Jewish community, they do what they do without voting. Well, at least they make sure they get something for their vote when they vote. Now, the difference is the Jewish community, they get reparations. Even though America helped them, America still pays them reparations. But it's certain things we can do right now to uplift our communities that has nothing to do with voting. Things that if we do, they'll be begging us to go back to voting. Right? We have to understand that, during the civil rights movement, Thurgood Marshall, they had a chance to get equal funding in the black schools just because they didn't want black kids going to school with their children. So they were willing to pay to have equal facility. Well, not equal facilities, but at least give them books and facilities they can actually use just to keep us out of their schools. But Thurgood Marshall wasn't satisfied. Thurgood Marshall kept going until he got integration. Now, who knows if they would have properly funded our schools? But the point is, they were willing to start doing that. And that didn't only hurt black students, that hurt the black teachers. The black teachers didn't have anything. Now, I understand why they were fighting for what they were fighting for. These teachers had to use Ebony magazines to teach children, right? Because back then, Ebony magazine did talk about black history and stuff. But they had to use their own magazines and books to teach our children. Yeah, exactly. All communities of substance were built by us from the ground up. That's the truth, including America itself. Well, I mean, D, there is a point where voting does work. It just depends on what you're voting for. If you're voting for which kind of white supremacy you want, hoping that it will end, then no, it doesn't do you no good. But if you're voting for something that could help your community within your community, and then it does more good than not. Just like people with voting in local elections, it may be an issue like a pothole or something on your street that you want to get taken care of, or anything. But it doesn't matter where you are. The funding for the black schools is still going to be less, despite what Thurgood Marshall did. The black schools are always going to be worse than the white schools. Like, I live in Richmond. The schools in the city, we were given textbooks that was like 10 years old. We didn't even have the current president in them. But the schools in the county, the majority white schools, they gave them laptops. And it's still like that today. It's because I went to majority black school in a majority black district. And they used politics, they used the law to do whatever they had to do. But white supremacy isn't going to respect anything unless you're coming up, with your own, unless you're coming with force, meeting force with force. White supremacy isn't going to, it's not going to affect white supremacy. But they understand that we are the biggest threat to their system. That's why no matter what has happened from slavery to today, we have been the number one threat to white supremacy. And even at our lowest, they create organizations, they create things like the FBI and COINTELPRO just to stop us. It doesn't matter how down we are. We can have the most single mothers. They still going to create organizations like Black Identity Extremists just to watch us. And they probably got me on there. They probably watching. But you guys can call in or whatever. Anybody can call in because, I don't want to be too late. I just wanted to come on and talk to the people. I've been meaning to do this for the last couple days. And the number on the screen is 804-601-4015. Yeah, I feel you, OB. If it ain't no particular issue that you want, I don't have anything against anybody voting for a particular issue that they may have. That's on you. But don't expect it to change our situation. Don't expect anything but us to change our situation because we are all we got. But we have to get rid of this illusion of inclusion that came with LBJ and the civil rights movement. More so, they're counter to the civil rights movement to stop us. But yeah, any of y'all can call in or whatever. No, I guess I won't be on here too long. And I guess if nobody else calls, sister can call back in. But yeah, I just wanted to get that off my chest because I seen so many people talking about, well, since Bernie Sanders out, I don't like Joe Biden, but we got to do what we got to do. Like, this man wasn't on, the Senate floor talking to Congress. Like, I don't care why we have to pass this bill to get these thugs locked up. But I wonder where his son is right now. His thug son probably OD somewhere, but he's not locked up. Now they want to build safe houses for them to do drugs in. They have things like drug take back day. There's no more war on drugs. That's just what it's going to be no matter who is in office. I know me personally, my life has never changed from Republican to Democrat party for president. It doesn't matter who has been president. Life has been the same. Because it's not about the president. The president is the spokesperson. You can go to other places and hear about it more than me because, I don't really get into the conspiracy theories. Not that it's a conspiracy theory, but it is these private organizations that is running America. Anytime that you can get a law or get the government to pay you a contract to fill a jail cell, it's somebody that has a connection to the laws and to the making this money their personal money. All they're doing is using the government to wash their money. They're using our tax dollars to do whatever they want to do. We're funding our own oppression, right? Part of reparations is us not paying taxes. That's just one part of it, right? We don't have to do no research. We understand everything that's happened in history. We understand that would not be in America without us. Because the first Europeans that came here, they couldn't survive. They died off until somebody had to come along and save them, show them how to grow their own food instead of eating each other. But, it is what it is. None of y'all want to call in? Yeah, Roberto, we definitely back. D, call in. Liar, call in. All of y'all call in. I don't want to say your name. I'm probably going to say it wrong. Shania. I don't know. I probably said it wrong, but call in. And the number right there on the screen. But, it's politics from day one. It's time for us to start having our own politics. We've been talking about it for a long time, but we have no other choice. And, that's a part of the reason why I do make these kind of videos, to make us see that we have no other choice and it's time to wake up. All right, we got a call. Let's see what's up.
Call from. I keep it real. To accept, press 1. Voice.
I keep it real. Hello? What's up? What's going on, my brother?
Oh, all right. Not a lot, man. How you doing, brother?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good.
Oh, yeah. I was listening to you, bro. And then when you said to call in, I was going to call in anyway. I just wanted to see if anybody else was going to, step up and try to give somebody else a chance. Because, me, I'll talk.
Yeah. I wanted to give people a chance. I would say don't, go long, but ain't nobody calling. So I guess,
Yeah. But check this out. Well, then I'm glad I called because, I'm going to call every time you do it live. You can expect me to call in. I would like to be a regular panelist of yours, though. If that's possible, that's your decision. I respect whatever you say and however you feel, brother. I'm not going, I'm still going to be here for you. I'm still going, be a subscriber and everything, man. That's not going to change nothing, man. If I'm not, but I'm just letting you know that I would like to be a panelist on a regular basis. But I'll let you, think about that if you want to, or however you feel about it, because I see every time I've been calling in when you first started doing this, I see there's a spot there, and don't take it the wrong way, but I feel like that should be my spot.
Oh no, that's me. I had to I signed in from my computer, but I had to do the show from my phone because my mic broke, so I signed in from I'm on both of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I see that blank spot right next to you. And I always see that when you put and everything, and I'm like, damn, maybe that's for me. But that's just my own thing, though.
Hey, Dunbarry, call in after this caller, Dunbarry. All right.
Okay. Somebody's calling in now?
Yeah.
Okay.
You go ahead though.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to say that, everything that's going on right now, everything that's going on is a bunch of lies mixed with truth. Mm-hmm. Okay, the lie is the coronavirus. Okay, there is no coronavirus. Okay, that's the first thing people need to know. That's a lie. Straight up, that's a lie. Not only that, but a virus does not stay on any surface for the length of time that they say that it does, and it doesn't stay in the air for the length of time that they say it does. You still there, brother?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. I'm about to say because it's tripping on my end right now. It said the connection to the server timed out. Okay. Anyway, and then now I'm over in California. Now, see, over here in California, you get a lot of rain. All the rain would wash all that virus out of the air, point blank, period. It would just knock it all out of the air if there was actually a virus. But then not only that, the fact that they're saying that it will stay on any surfaces, doorknobs, and stuff like that. Wake up, people. Check this out. How is it going to remain on the doorknob or on any surface or anything like that when everybody is staying inside? If everybody is staying inside, how is there a virus outside? And when you go outside, if you're wearing a mask, it's not going to get you. Okay? If it were real, if it really existed. Okay? But the other thing about it is this. The people that are going outside that are not wearing a mask, they're not getting it. And then it brings me back to what I said once before. If this virus is what they say it is, then how come none of the people in the political circle, how come they don't have it? Now, one of them has it. Everybody's seen it, giving all these speeches and hold these conferences and whatever you want to call them, okay? They keep doing all this film. They're doing. I call it fear-mongering speeches, okay? How come they don't have it? They're not wearing no mask. They're not wearing no gloves. They're not standing 6 feet away. You still got all these reporters, and when they go into the conference room to ask questions of whoever they're asking these questions to, they're not even wearing no mask. So what makes them better than us to the point where they don't need to wear one, but we do? That's the first thing. Everybody needs to pay attention to that. The other thing is this. They telling everybody that everybody needs to take a shot. How come they're not taking one? They haven't taken the shot. And if they say that they have, that's a lie. You know why I say it's a lie? We didn't see it. Even if we did see it, everything we see is not always true. Meaning they can sit up here and get a shot in the arm on TV to prove that they got one, but we don't know that that's the shot that they would still be administered to us, which 100% I'm sure that it wouldn't be. It's all just a front. I call that the politician's magician trick. That's all that would be. The other thing is I was listening to the Tyreek show last night, and he was letting me know that they're lying about this coronavirus thing. This sister, he showed this sister. She went to the doctor. Okay, when she went to the doctor, I forgot what she went in for, but it wasn't nothing serious. It was nothing serious. So she went to the doctor. Something about she wasn't feeling good. I forgot what it was though. And they told her that she had the coronavirus. And guess what, y'all? She wasn't even tested. She wasn't even tested for the virus. They just put her down as having the coronavirus. So my message to people of color is this. Stay away from those hospitals. If you get sick and you come down with something, don't go to the hospital. Deal with that in your house. Because them telling you that these are the symptoms, like flu-like symptoms. And the reason why they're saying it's flu-like symptoms is because it just may simply be the flu. Think of the month that we're in. Okay? This could be the flu month. Think of it. See, you have to understand that they do everything to precision. So when they chose to do this, they chose to do this during a month, a time and season where people may be getting sick. Now, if you get sick, you may get sick, but it doesn't mean that you have the coronavirus because the coronavirus does not exist. However, if you go into the doctor telling them that you're sick, any symptom that they say that the coronavirus has, if you have one of those symptoms, they just automatically say you have it without even testing you for it. But you don't have it. So don't trust these doctors. I'm serious. And I'm not saying anything to anyone that I'm not going to be doing myself. Right. Period.
Yeah.
So when that sister went in, they told her that she had the virus and they didn't even test her for it. She was mad. And then she had a right to be. Yeah. And then she said, look, she showed her temperature. Her temperature was 89.1. She didn't have to be like that. But yet they told her that she had the virus. Simply because she needed to go to get checked for something. So let's say, for example, you go into the that.
Hey, hold up. All right.
You got a cough.
Yeah. You can go ahead.
They're gonna tell you.
Go ahead and you can go ahead and wrap it up or whatever. Because I got like 3 calls. So you can go ahead and wrap it up.
Okay. And they tell you that and you tell them you're not sweating or whatnot or whatever. They're gonna tell you got the virus and you may not even have it. You won't even have it. Last but not least, I'll say this, let somebody else talk. Bill Gates is behind all this. Bill Gates is behind all of this. This is his project. He's got a patent on the coronavirus. This is all his project. And that Dr. Fauci or whoever he is, he's in on it too. So just be careful and be mindful and think about what's really going on. And this is connected to the 5G. It is connected to that. Because those towers can give you those symptoms. You'll think you have something. You go to the hospital, and they'll tell you that you got the virus and you don't. So I'll leave it at that for right now.
I appreciate that, my brother. Thanks. You can call back if no more calls come in after that.
Oh, no problem, my brother. No problem.
All right.
I'll do that.
All right. Y'all could call back in. Try to call in one at a time, I guess. Yeah, but I said, I try to stay away from the whole corona thing because that's not exactly my field. Like I said, I got my own opinions, but it's not exactly my field. All right, we got another call. Hold on.
Bakari.
Hello,
Brother Forecast?
Yeah, brother Bakari, what's going on, my brother?
Yeah, peace, bro. What's going on? I wanted to call in and talk about the name of your show, Political Allies. Political alliances. We do need political alliances. If you read Dr. Claude Anderson's book, Powernomics, our political alliances, we need our own political group. No Democrat, no Republican, no liberal, no conservative, whatever they're called. We need our own. And we don't even have to have anybody to run. But we can put our money together, and whoever is running, you buy politicians. That's what everybody else does. See, we don't have anyone to look out for us. And we expect professional athletes to speak out for us. And do something. They are athletes. They are not politicians. Everyone else have politicians. We have professional athletes. We have entertainers. Anything except what we truly need. We have to come, set all our differences aside, create us a political party. The lady in the chat, I can't say her name. I was like, Shawa, Holla, I can't say your name, Sister 77. The Black Party is for us. And that is something that we have to do. And what you can't have, this is my opinion, I don't think you can ally with anyone, because I don't think anyone will want to ally with us, because we are not together. In order to get an ally, you have to be willing to ally with yourself before anyone else can ally with you. Because if they do ally with you, they won't have no respect for you. They're going to use you, get what they want, and you still remain at the bottom. So we're going to have to come up with something for us, right? That's the thing. That's for us. Now, the guy that was on there, I put it in the chat, but he was speaking reckless. Come on, man, we got to stop with that. The coronavirus ain't real. And stay at home. Don't go to the... I know somebody, one of my best friend's cousins just died at home. He went to the hospital, had coronavirus, wanted to go home. He died 2 days later sitting in his house. We need to stop telling people this stuff. And they're talking about 5G. We don't listen to radiologists. We don't listen to scientists, biologists, what they say. We want to listen to people that just spew information. He sounds like he's a good brother and have good intentions, but there was no good, man. I got a cousin, just got out the respirator, laying up in the hospital from coronavirus. He survived. He stayed at home. Now, are they practicing medicine on us? Yes, because I know people that's had it. One of my best friend's sisters just got out the hospital in New Orleans who had the coronavirus. Now, she turned down the shot for 2 reasons. She said they offered her the shot. She asked them what was the shot. And she said she said this is the doctor's exact words. They don't know exactly what it is. It just has coronavirus. But she said she saw 2 people take the shot and die with them the day or 2 after taking it. They are practicing medicine. We don't need to be that guinea pig, but to say this virus ain't real and people are dying, that's just reckless. That's reckless, and that's not going to help our people at all. Just being reckless. It's okay to wear your mask, your gloves, your hand sanitizer, all that. And when you say the president and all that is not wearing a mask when they're having these conferences, we're not privy to everything that they're privy to. They can get the test. Just like these professional athletes, how are they getting the test? Think about it. They have money. So they are getting private companies. They are paying for them to come take the test. So because you don't see them with masks and gloves, that don't mean they have not been tested. I didn't see nobody tested. But when someone tell me they sick, when my cousin went in the hospital to tell me when he was tested and he got coronavirus and he could barely breathe and they had to put him on a respirator, I believed him. When I know my friend's wife was quarantined because she had the coronavirus after being tested, we need to stop spewing that type of information. And bro, I'm not going to tap your line, bro. You know how it is. One love, bro. We going to chat it up. We going to be doing another chat together soon, bro. One love.
Yeah, peace, man. I appreciate it. I'll be holler at you.
See you later.
All right, dog. All right. So yeah, like I said, like the whole coronavirus, that's just not my lane. That's why I didn't want to really get into it like that. You know, I know both people on both sides of the equation, and you know, I got my own opinions. Don't get me wrong, but you know, I don't know enough for me to come on here and say something that I don't know. You know, and I don't want to tell people to do something. You know, but we have to start figuring out stuff like on our own. This is why we need our own scientists and stuff like that too. You know, for our own people to come up with our own cures, because these people is talking about bringing their drugs, you know, their so-called cures over to Africa to test it on black people, right? And all of a sudden, it's black people that is the most likely to catch coronavirus. But you know, it's not having our own, you know what I'm saying? And not only that, our own defense, you know what I'm saying? Like our own military, right? To keep these people from coming in our countries and testing us with stuff. because, like y'all said, they've always came in testing us with stuff, and it's the government that's funding these programs. The same government that we try to be a part of. But we have to have a government that can compete with this government, that can protect us from this government. We have to protect ourselves. We don't have any other choice. But you guys can call in, and this show is, like I said, is more based off the politics, how Bernie Sanders dropped out the race, and now all of these black people and all of these people were talking about we gotta vote in Joe Biden to get Donald Trump out of office. Now, I don't know if they're intentionally trying to throw the election because they already know who they're going to pick ahead of the time. But, like, why is black people still involved in this kind of thing? So, anybody can call in anytime you want, and the number is on the screen. It's 804-601-4015. Yeah, I mean, it could be the perfect cover. Yeah, we have to start playing with Brother Bakari, right? We definitely have to start planning for after this quote-unquote pandemic. This is our chance to build whatever we want to build. Other countries may create something so they can institute their plans, but this is an opportunity for us to start from scratch. Sometimes I look at it and I'll say, well, it might be easier if everything does get wiped out, But, we got to build on our own. We got to do what we have to do. Yeah, of course, with the blue collars. And, those articles about how black people are the most affected by it. And yeah, we know about the history of healthcare with black people and how we are the least likely to have healthcare, the least likely to get healthcare. We get the worst treatment when we do go to the hospital. We have the worst hospitals in our neighborhood. We all have that hospital that we hate to go to in our neighborhood, right? But all of that is a part of politics. There's a reason why all of the worst stuff is in our neighborhood, right? We're talking about this flu, but we aren't talking about the people who are controlling our diet, because if we had the right diet, sickness will be a lot harder for us to catch. Not saying that we wouldn't, but our diet will help us with our immune system. We'll have a stronger immune system, right? But another thing that ties into politics, our education. We aren't taught what we're supposed to eat or drink. I know I'm lactose intolerant. From what I understand, a lot of black people are lactose intolerant, right? We have a different genetic makeup, right? I can go to the beach on a nice day with the sun out and I'll be just fine. I won't have to put a cream on my skin. We have different biology, we have a different biological makeup, right? But we aren't taught our own, who we are. We aren't taught what we can eat. We aren't taught our history. But all of that is a part of politics, right? And any of y'all can call in. I'm waiting for somebody to call in because I'm not going to be on here too late, because I wanted to try to start the next video. And again, if anybody knows any other competing sites or any other ways to upload a video, because YouTube is really against my channel. I know, how do you see your comments get deleted? My comments get deleted off my own videos. They take my videos down. Now they don't even give me a strike. They just take you down. Right. And okay, so I got another call. Hello?
This is Bakari again, man. I'm sorry. I don't want to take up your time. I don't want to take all your call time, right?
You are.
When you were talking about the hospitals and whatever, reporting how down disproportionate numbers, right? Mm-hmm. I was listening to the black doctor from Chicago. Now, a lot of people don't know Chicago is not majority black, but he broke it down. He said that death that's being reported is from the west side of Chicago. Is mainly from the west side of Chicago, which the west side of Chicago is about 80% black. Now, they are not. He said when they talk about Chicago, they don't talk about the rest of the city. For the most part, they are just putting emphasis on black people doing this thing. And he said that's why when they talk about Chicago, that's why the numbers are so high. And they're talking about we're dying at a higher rate because they're in the hospitals on the side of town that is majority black. And that's what's in that hospital. And that's what's in those hospitals. I just wanted to talk about that. Like when you said something about Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders have dropped out, we don't need to go vote for Joe Biden just to get Donald Trump out of office. We need a plan. We have to operate with a plan. And we have to put our heads together. And like I said, put differences aside. We have to come together as black people, not people of color, because every race of people have color. White people look pink. Orientals look yellow. You know, we're dark brown people. We're black. So not people of color. We come together as black people, and we have a plan for us. We have to look out for ourselves first, because no one is thinking about looking out for black people. The Orientals look out for themselves. The Arabs look out for themselves. The East Indians look out for themselves. Every race group of people in this country look out for themselves and put themselves first. For some strange reason, someone has taught us that we need to put ourselves we even put ourselves at the bottom and put other people and other people's agenda above ours, because we haven't created an agenda. Our agenda has been to try to be white, to try to live like white people. We are the illusion of inclusion, as you always say when we do a show, and we have been fooled with that. So our agenda is just to remain included. So white people to look at us like human, but we have to look at ourselves like human that we are. The kings and queens, the descendants of people here slaves, but we were descendants of kings and queens from Africa, architects in Africa. Look at the things that we built. We were descendants of doctors. The first vaccine that was ever given here was done by African slaves. I don't ever say his name right, but his name was Wadsworth. He created the vaccine for the smallpox. We are descendants of farmers. We were descendants of those people, and we have to come together as our ancestors. That's why I tell people I'm Masi. Masi was not one tribe. It was about 8 tribes that came together to create one to protect themselves. And that's what we have to do now. Set aside the difference and come together as one to fix ourselves. And in this, after this pandemic, start looking right now during the pandemic of business that we can do. You're making bandanas while you're in home. You're making masks. So learn to make something else. I'm looking into the trucking because I see, because that's what I do. So I see the opportunities that are going to be there for me at least for the next couple of years, where I can make some money and then my business can grow and I can get into other things. That's what we have to do as a people, not as an individual. Because me making it don't mean nothing if I can't help my people. We have to do this as a group. And now I'm not going to call you back, man. I'm enjoying your show. Peace, brother. One love.
All right, peace. I appreciate the call, my brother. All right, and anybody can call in, you know, and the brother that called in earlier, you can call back. The sister that called in earlier, you can call back. Any of y'all can call that. And the sister, I'm sorry, I don't want to say your name. You was talking about Black Junction. I'm not sure what happened to it. I know they did have some of my video up on there. I didn't even know. I just saw it one day when I was typed it into Google. I saw it, but I don't know what happened to it. But we got to create our own website. We got to create our own everything. And like the brother was saying, with the Masi thing, we are all different groups. That's why we argue so much about who we are. We all come from different places. We're a bunch of different groups brought in together, thrown in a pot, and given the label and given this whole history, you know. And we have no other choice but to set it aside, you know, just for the strength of our children, if nothing else, you know. And the sister said it won't happen until we heal. Well, maybe if we're pushed so far to the point where we have no choice but to survive, we can do it and then be able to heal. Because it definitely exposed a lot, you know, in our community. It exposed the relationship between Black men and Black women. I'm talking about white supremacy. It exposed a lot in our community. But, you know, we don't have any other choice but to start sticking together, right? And you see they argue. They might be divided on certain issues, but they agree on white supremacy. At the end of the day, that's where their politics always work for them. They always agree on white supremacy, right? They just may disagree about how to implement it. But any of y'all can call in, because like I said, I'm not gonna be on here too much longer. And the number is right there on the screen. It's 804-601-4015. Anybody can call in. Yeah, that is a detriment. Yeah, you're right, sir. Yeah, that's the number on the screen. Flame Turner, call in. All right. Got another call. Hello? Hello?
Yes, this is Allah.
This is who?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, this is Shawa Allah.
Oh, hey, how you doing? How you say your name again?
Hold on, okay, I'll turn my speaker on for you.
Yeah, you gotta turn it off in the background.
Yeah, I did. Okay, I muted it.
Okay, can you say your name one more time? I've been messing it up the whole time.
Okay, so I had it's Khan. I used to get on here before a couple of times. My name is Khan, but it's Shawa Allah.
Okay, Shawa Allah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, what's up?
Well, what I was saying is, hold on, I muted my TV. Okay, so what I was saying was, some of us are aware, some of us are awake, and we think, we all talk about the things that we should do, but we have to understand that the majority of our people are still suffering, and not, it goes so far back to slavery, to Jim Crow. Our people are still mentally destroyed, and we continue to be re-injured through things we see in television, through things that happen to our family members, going to jail, being killed, being kicked out of our homes. I mean, they continue to re-injure us. So, it's real easy to say that, we should do this and we should do that. But it's not going to happen until, we are in true detriment, until it is the bottom. We are at the bottom of the bottom. And yeah, we think we're there now. But our lives have to be on the line for us. Literally, it's just not. I don't know. It's not going to come to fruition the way we would like it to. And when it does, yes, we do. We do all have to get together as one, build from the ground up. We cannot be looking for no handouts from these people. They never have given it to us before. They're not going to start now.
Yeah, you're right about that. They're never going to give us anything. We have to take it. Like I say with reparations all the time, they're never just going to give us reparations. But believe me, we're going to get it. Like, there is going to be a time where they have no other choice but to give it to us. And we're going to come in there and we're going to take it. Believe me.
We're going to take it. That's right.
Right.
But in the meantime, they're not giving us anything. Everything that we did historically, all those things were built, like I said before, from the ground up. We came from nothing, and we built something, and it wasn't with any of their aid. And that's the same way it's going to have to be again. But again, we're going to have to be healed as a people before we get anywhere as a people. Like, there's just too much hurt, too much history mentally, Yeah.
Yeah, you make a good point, and that's why I kind of do, the kind of videos I do to get people to that boiling point to realize we already at that point. Like, they killing us wholesale, and honestly, this is the best time in America anyway for us ever, because 100 years ago they would have been like lynch me for even saying half the stuff I say. So this is a better time than it's ever been. But at the same time, it's still the same struggle. They still can kill us at will whenever they want to. And maybe if we see enough bloodshed and our kids being killed, we'll have enough and we'll start to do what we have to do. Because at the end of the day, we know what we have to do. And all it takes is like when the police messing with somebody, they'll think twice if the whole community is armed. If they won't come in there willing to kill somebody or violate somebody's rights, they know they're surrounded by a bunch of people that's armed. Or if they come in and they know it's gonna be bloodshed if they come, right? If somebody busts back, that's all it'll take for them to start thinking twice. I'm not saying that to do it or not to do it. I don't know. They shouldn't be killing us. All I'm saying is they shouldn't be killing us. You understand?
Right, they shouldn't. But here's the thing too. Black people reportedly have been buying guns and ammunition, and actually, getting registered supposedly, at a high rate as of late. And the thing is, as Black people, we have to not be afraid to defend ourselves. There's a lot of Black people out there who, and I am very religious, but what I do believe in defending myself. Everybody is stuck on the turn your cheek. You don't turn your cheek. When your life's in detriment, you're supposed to fight for your life. That's your God-given right. So,
right.
Again, it's and I don't know where Black people would start, but it's going to take steps to get to these places, to get our people to understand who we are, our value, what we can do, what we do not have to take. We have so many knuckleheads running around here, and again, I'm not totally blaming them, because again, everything that happens to us is systematic. Today, everything that continues to happen to us is systematic. This whole coronavirus, I believe, it's all systematic. Things are put in place to oppress us, and nobody's helping us. Nobody's going to help us. Again, it's just the same stuff over and over again.
Yeah, exactly. Sis, I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. I see Slang says it sounds like I'm blowing in the mic. All right, I'm gonna get off here. I'll get back to the chat.
Oh yeah, it's okay. I appreciate the call. You can call back in. Well, I'm not gonna be on too much longer, but you can call back anytime.
But yeah, if I can catch you. Oh, one more thing. Brother Bakari, I'm a truck driver too, and I do believe that a lot of our people really should be looking into that. Where a lot of people don't have avenues as far as a job. It's something easy to get into. It's easy to become your own business person, and you can make good money. So it's just a thought for our people. All right.
Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you.
Thanks, Forecast.
All right. I appreciate the call. Yeah, the sister made a lot of good points, Yeah, I'm not sure. Like, it might have been my phone. I'm not sure if it was her or not. But the sister made a lot of good points. We have to get to a point where we recognize that we are all we got, and we are getting a lot better off in that situation. We got to realize we're not as divided as they like us to believe. They show us the division and us arguing so much, right? But they understand, just on the last, I meant to tell you, Bakar, I'm not sure if you got the email I sent you. Some white supremacist sent, one of them racist songs to my voicemail. I guess he was trying to get it on air, but it ain't gonna work. The show is protected by the ancestors. But to me, that kind of stuff don't even bother me. I don't fear any of this stuff. And some people say, you should be scared to say what you got to say, but I'm more scared not to say something. And the same thing keep happening. Right? It is our people who have constantly said something and stepped up against what's going on, that's got us in this position. It's people like Ida B. Wells who stood up. They threatened to kill her, right? But she understood the politics of white supremacy. She understood how they had to make it an issue of black men raping white women to attack black people for our economics, right? She understood that it was an excuse, and that was in the 1800s, and she was the first person to do that. And what did they do? They attacked her. They burnt her printing press down. They threatened to kill her, but she didn't care. And we all got to have that same mentality, right? We can't be afraid to do what we have to do. Otherwise, these groups attack us because they know we are scared to respond. Historically, we have been scared. I'm not gonna lie. We, especially as black men, at some point we did drop the ball. We were supposed to fight and keep fighting. We are still fighting. So, I'm not gonna throw us under the bus. I'll never do that. But you know, we have to keep fighting this system, not try to be a part of this system. So we can institute our own rules, our own government. We are at a point where we can institute and build and do whatever it is we want. But we have to get over that fear. And like the sister said, we've been talking about what we have to do for so long. We all know what we have to do. It's just overcoming whatever fear it is. But we just have to understand all these groups fear us way more than we fear them. They'll die off before we die off. And none of this is hate speech. It's we love ourselves. I'm not telling anybody to do anything to anybody. But what I'm saying is we're not going to let you keep killing us. We're saying you stop killing us. And for us to be quiet, they'll give us a vote. And by the way, they have to vote every 25 years whether we can still vote or not. So what kind of system is that to expect a change in? How can we be a part of a system that's still voting on whether we can vote or not? And they use all of these talking points like the Democrats like to use what's it called, affirmative action. But can you name one program by the government that benefits black men? Like at all. It don't even have to be solely black men, but that benefits black men because affirmative action benefits white women the most. That's how white women got all of these jobs. And they help black men like it was supposed to. But anybody can call in. I'm probably only gonna be on here for another 15, 20 minutes. So I mean you can get a couple quick calls, if y'all want to call in. If not, just holler at y'all after I try to upload the next video. I'm not really sure if the next video is gonna come up because YouTube is really hating my channel right now. And it's no telling how many people are actually watching this. How many people are actually subscribed. They've been messing with my subscribers for about like 7 or 8 months. Like they show me random numbers. It go down 10, then it go up 10, then it just stay there. Even though people subscribe, I see subscriber emails and people saying I just subscribed. Slang, I'm on my cell phone and I'm trying to use my house phone to do the calls. So that might be what it was. But somebody else can call in. We'll see if it be a little bit clearer or not. But I heard the sister. But at the end of the day, why are we still worried about these systems? Why are we still caping for every other group but ourselves? Until we actually learn that we are all we got, and we can't cape for anybody but ourselves, right? All these other groups are going to use us politically. The Irish, right? They love to talk about the Irish were slaves too. And that's a damn lie, right? They chose to come to America. They were never slaves. And then one way you can tell the difference is if you ask an Irish person where they're from, they can tell you, I'm from Ireland. if you ask a black person where they're from, most likely they're just going to say Africa or America or wherever. But they aren't going to give you any specifics because our history has been destroyed. Right? But the Irish used us as a way to earn their whiteness. Right? That whole blackface minstrel show thing, all of that is nothing but politics. They use that to get in with, people who were considered white because they weren't considered white. The Jewish people, they jumped on the bandwagon, did the same exact thing. Right? We see how Hispanic people are doing today. Right? Like when that sister called the police because some Spanish dude pulled the gun on her, the Hispanic cops arrested the black girl. Right? Talking about she needs to be corrected. But if anything, they need to be corrected. All we have is ourselves. And we're still talking about should we identify by race when it comes to politics? Well, we don't have any other choice but to identify. Because the way they set this country up, whiteness is just a given. Of course they're going to identify it when they come up with the rules and policies. Because for most of American history, they are the only ones that were considered citizens. Right? So how much power does your voting have, especially in a national election, when you may not even be considered a full person? Because I haven't seen any, court ruling to overturn the Dred Scott case. I haven't seen anything to overturn, the 3/5 clause in the Constitution. Right? The 14th, 15th Amendment, that has to do with persons. But are you considered a person? How could you if you need civil rights laws? Like Malcolm X said in the 60s. How are you an American citizen if they have to pass civil rights laws and voter right act to allow you to be able to vote? How are you a citizen? So what are you voting to represent? Like, how is your vote representing you if you're not even a citizen? But I'm gonna give y'all a couple minutes to see if y'all want to call in. I'll take anybody call in that want to come in. Yeah, an electoral vote at that. You're right. And like I said earlier, we have to look at how they use these electoral votes. They take like a prison in Ohio, and they'll ship prisoners from somewhere like Florida to Ohio just to make sure the electoral votes, just to give Ohio more electoral votes, right? If they know it's going to be a Republican ticket or they're going to vote Republican. Right now, these prisoners, they don't get the right to vote or anything, but they count the same way slaves counted as 3/5 of a human. So, I mean, what kind of system are you a part of? And it's not anything new, right? Maurice Muhammad, what's going on, my brother? Yeah, call in, my brother. I want you to, especially to see if the phone line work. My brother Saint said the last person was kind of muffled. But, what kind of system are we fighting to be a part of if they're still voting whether we can vote or not? How are you an elected official? Say you're an elected official and they tell you at the next election, black people can't vote no more. Then what? You're going to pass a law to change that? You can't, because you still going to need them in their system. The one people calling in on Slang. It's on the screen, brother Maurice. It's 804-601-4015. Yeah, call in, my brother. Because like I said, we're talking about how since Bernie Sanders dropped out the election, I don't know why so many black people were supporting him anyway. By the way, have any of y'all show me anywhere where Bernie Sanders actually voted in favor of black people? I know he marched, right? We got all these people marching and stuff. But has he ever voted for anything to help the black community? But now all of these black people that supposedly support Bernie Sanders now saying, well, we just got to support Joe Biden, to make sure we get Trump out of office. But please tell me, what's the difference between the two? Right. So, I'm going to take a couple more calls. I don't want to be on here too late. Still want to get to work on the next video before it get too late. Exactly. Marching don't mean anything. People say what they want all the time. George Wallace, right? He was Trump back then, right? He was actually a Democrat, right? But, he can say, I'm not racist all he wants. But he'll turn around and say segregation now, segregation then, segregation forever. Right? And he was outspoken the same way Trump was. But the problem is Joe Biden probably was supporting him back then too. Because we know about the segregationists Joe Biden supported. Yeah. You don't see anybody making laws and policies to benefit us. Because do you know why? When that judge in I forget where it was, that black man who was a judge, I think in Kentucky, when he said no all white jury for a black defendant, they took all his cases, right? They fired him, they charged him, right? He's still trying to get back. Right? That sister, the first black state attorney, Aramis Ayala. And a lot of people think she's Hispanic, but she herself says, I'm a black woman, I'm not Hispanic. No, I don't have any Hispanic people in my family. But when she tried to stop the death penalty, because it affects black people more in Florida, they took her cases, right? Even though she's an elected official, they took her cases trying to get her out of office, right? We see what happened with the sister Marilyn Mosby in Baltimore, especially after the Freddie Gray case. So we see what happened when black politicians try to make something happen. Let me take this next call. Hello?
Peace and blessings, big bro.
Brother Maurice Muhammad, what's going on, my brother? How you doing?
I'm doing good. Yourself?
I'm good. And by the way, can y'all hear him in the chat? But you can go ahead and speak, my brother.
Yes, sir. I had just got on, and I was hearing you speak about Bernie Sanders. And, you're correct. Our people shouldn't be jumping on the Bernie Sanders bandwagon because Bernie Sanders has not promised us a damn thing. And when it came down to him being asked about reparations, the reality of that, he was not for us getting any checks. Nothing like that. He wasn't for that. And when we think about or let him get away with, I did the marching back in the day. Well, the marching back in the day don't mean shit today. In reality, it really doesn't. If you take what Martin Luther King said about Bernie Sanders, because he was one of those who were a white liberal. And you take what King said and you can see, you can understand why he said it today. Because you wasn't living then, but if you read what he said and then look at the actions of what Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton, and all the rest of those Democrats, look at what they do, you understand exactly why King said what he said about them in the letter from the Birmingham jail. And we have to be more understanding of how they work their politics. We have to be really more understanding of how that works, and we have to make the system work for us. And the only way to make that system work for us is we have to produce our own candidates, we have to produce our own platform, and we have to run for local elections.
That will get us more power locally so we can make changes right there where we live. And it can affect. I mean, just think about it. I know people who had their water cut off before, who had their electric cut off before, but the people that we send to city council, they have the power to pass a law to say your electric or your water cannot be cut off. And why would, just think about it. We're giving these bastards power to turn off something that they did not create. Ain't no cracker create electricity. Ain't no cracker create water. But yet now, they can come and turn it off where we live at? No, that should never happen. But the people that we send to local elections don't represent us. So that's why we have to create our own political party with our own people that run selections and put them in the office, and they do the will of the people. Our will. Fuck what the white folks' will is. We got to start doing our will. We should never be in the city, especially if it's a majority black, and we can't pay our damn electric or water bill or gas bill, and they're allowed to turn our shit off. That should not even exist. That should not even exist. Do our people even realize that in some states, you don't even have to be a lawyer to be a judge? You don't have to be a lawyer to be a judge. Why are we not running for these offices to sit in those seats? Because we're not politically aware of what you can do and what you can't do. And they're not going to tell you. They're not going to tell us those things. Why? Because it doesn't benefit them. If we can understand how these things will benefit us and come up with our own platform and our own program, we would win, and we would turn a lot of these cities around overnight and make it so that you'll be able to live in an environment of peace. Can you just imagine the weight that's off your shoulders if you know your electric bill will never be cut off, your water bill will never be cut off? That gives you room and other things to do other things with. But if we are not thinking of how do we change the negative conditions in our community, then it'll never be. So I thank you, brother, for allowing me to come on and just say those few words. But, you know, this is real. This is real. And it is up to us to make these changes, because ain't nobody else going to do it for us. You have taught us very well through your videos of what was done, what is being done, and what we got to do right now. Right now. We can't look to Bernie Sanders. We can't look to the Democrats, the Republicans, none of them. We can only look to ourselves who believe in our philosophy and have the will, the power to get the shit done. So I thank you, dear brother, and hopefully one day we can go into and show the people exactly what the benefits are that they can use to help turn the economic situation all around just by putting in your own people in office and constructing laws that you want. I mean, just think about it. You want to be be a barber, right? You know how to cut hair. You know how to do it. You've been doing it all the time, but you ain't got no license. And these artificial barriers, like you need to get a license, or you need to get this, or you need to get this, so it can be taxed. Poor people don't really have that kind of money. So if you move away the barrier and say, okay, now you go ahead and do it. You know how to cut hair. Your people know you know how to cut hair. If they want to come to you, then come to you, and you start your own business. Remove away the barriers. Remove away the unnecessary barriers. You got our sisters who know how to do hair. But what? They got to go to school and get all of this in debt to do something they naturally already know how to do, and already got people that's willing to support them. But because they don't have a license, if they get caught, they can go to jail. That's not right. See, with one stroke of a law, we can erase that. You ain't got to have no license. If you know what you're doing and people want to trust you, then they can go. Go ahead, open up your business. We got to remove barriers. We can remove people driving on suspended license, right? Maybe they couldn't pay the bill. Maybe the ticket was too high and the reinstatement fee too high. But shit, they still got to drive. And so they get pulled over. Oh, well, we're taking just you're driving on suspended. Bullshit. We can pass a local law and get that shit taken right away. Taken right away. Why? Because it is a barrier from stopping you from living your best life. It is something, it is a tool that the government uses to keep you oppressed, to keep you living from paycheck to paycheck, where you cannot think creatively because you're burdened down by bills and debt. See, but these crackers, they're not burdened down with that. Oh, they do this and they can do that. And they, in their mind, and they can think, okay, I want to do this business, I want to do this business, and go out there and do it. But we're so burdened down with debt and all this that we don't even have time to creatively think. And even if we creatively think, we see there's a barrier. Shit, I ain't got the money for that. I can barely pay this and pay that. So we got to be able to break these barriers and wipe them away so that our people can live their best life. It's all about us now. Us doing for us. The Asians do for them. The crackers do for them. We got to do for us. It is on us or we will perish. And I truly don't have time to perish because the future generations are depending upon what we do today. Not what was done 30 years ago. No, we are on the clock now. So it is about what we do today for those future generations coming behind us, depending on us to light that way for them so they can take it all the way home. So again, brother, I definitely thank you for allowing me to be on and just to give a few words, and hopefully our people will understand exactly what we're doing and offer their skills, offer their services, and say, yeah, I believe in that vision. I can see that reality. How do we do it? Let's get together and do it. We had a political platform in New York City, right? We had black people who had said, yes, I'm with it. Let's do it. What happened? What happened to the Freedom Party that we had in New York City? We let two idiots come in and destroy the whole damn thing because they were arguing and bickering back and forth over foolishness. Now, who are these two idiots? Brother Polite and Malik Zulu Shabazz. These two idiots arguing back and forth over nothing. And what did it do? It showed the black people that were there that finally convinced themselves, yeah, we're going to do it. Oh, hell, we can't do it because we can't even get along. And so something as simple as that breaks the whole damn thing apart. So we got to make sure when we get our people to believe and buy in, that we protect it. We protect it. If people are really clowns and, doing all this foolishness, we should not allow them into the center because it destroys the whole. So we got to be protective of what we build because our people, it's so easily to get discouraged and be like, oh, we ain't going to do it. Oh, see, I done told you. So we got to protect what we build and not allow people to destroy it with back and forth bickering over nothing, over foolishness. We got to be able to protect what we build. We got to be able to do the things necessary that a free people will do and be able to hold each other accountable if we offend what is wrong because we should want to do what is right. We should want to do what is right. We're going to make mistakes, but look, that's up to the mistake and let's move on so we can continue building. So that we can continue building. Because if we don't build, then we will be consistently out in the cold looking for shelter from pillar to post, and there will never be no shelter there for us. So we got to build and make that shelter. And I guarantee you, the new reality that you will see will be unbelievable. It will be your own black Mecca, your own black heaven. And the thing about it is, you didn't beg nobody for it. You didn't cry to nobody for it. You didn't ask nobody for it. You woke up, understood your responsibility and your duty, and you took it. and you took it, and ain't a damn thing nobody can do to take it back. And that's the kind of power that we have. And again, brother, I'm sorry for going so long, but I thank you for allowing me to come on and to say those words.
Yeah, I appreciate it, brother. For real, like that was deep. That was real talk right there, man. Thank you for calling in, man. Like that's real talk. And by the way, you can tell them your channel if people will subscribe to my brother too. I guess he hung up.
Yes, sir. They can. My YouTube channel is M Muhammad. No, what is Maurice Muhammad _3. Again, that's Maurice Muhammad _3. You can find me also on Facebook as Maurice B. Muhammad. And I thank you, good brother. And if you ever, you need me on, you just call me. Yeah. I'll make sure that happens.
Yeah, I appreciate it, dog.
Yes, sir. Peace and blessings.
All right, peace. Yeah, my brother Maurice Muhammad, and I meant to tell you, brother Bakari, you can subscribe to his channel, and anybody who call in, if you got a channel, you can subscribe or anything to plug. I forget to say that you can plug whatever it is you got to plug. But anyway, yeah, the brother is right, especially about, they have control to the point where they charge you for lights, electricity, they charge you for water. The planet is made up of mostly water, and they're charging you for it. Like people always say, they could charge you for air, they would, right? So this is not a natural, thing that we need to be leading us, right? We see all the death and destruction across America. They knock everything down, destroy everything. It's just, we have no other choice but to get on code and start doing what we have to do, because at the end of the day, we are all we got. And it don't matter what side you want to call yourself, a Republican, a Democrat, even an independent, it don't really matter. Unless we're coming together, a critical mass of us, with one agenda, one mindset, one mind frame, then the same thing will keep happening over and over and over. Right? And it don't matter who the president is. We saw that with the last president. It don't matter who has control of the Senate. None of this matters as long as the system stays in operation. So, we almost been here for, not 2 hours yet. But I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. I appreciate everybody in the chat room. Y'all always show me love. Everybody that watched the videos. There's no telling how many people actually watch it. No telling how many people actually comment. Sometimes I get notifications and it's gone. So I don't know. Sometimes you may comment. I don't get a notification. I never see it. So I don't know. But we'll be back. YouTube is on my channel, but they can't stop it. You see me here with the lives. I can take calls now. I can finally talk to y'all. And I've been waiting to talk to y'all for so long. Y'all been showing me so much love. And I got so much love and respect for all of y'all, for real. Like, y'all keep me going. Y'all give me motivation to keep it pushing. Because, I'm not going to lie, these videos are hard to do. It does take a toll. And for them just to remove it, it makes you want to be like, look, I don't feel like doing it. But, it has to be done. And, of course, man, I appreciate all of y'all. Yes, man, I don't even get notifications on my own channel. So, anyone that I subscribe to, my backup channel, all of that stuff. So, and y'all can go to my backup channel. That's where I'm gonna be putting the next video. And I'm gonna be back in a couple days with another video. And when I release the video, I'm gonna come back with another live. We'll see what it's about. I'm not really sure yet. I kind of let the ancestors tell me what to make the next video about. And by the way, I get a lot of emails and stuff from parents that actually had their children murdered by the police. And I talk about them in these videos. And I try to do, videos. They asked me to do more videos about it. And I try to. But, most of the time, all the information I find is the same information that I already gave. My brother commented from what happened to Darius video. his son Darius Tarver was murdered or whatever by the police. And the brother asked me to, speak on it, and to him and all the other parents that asked me to speak on it, if I didn't do it, it's not really up to me what I talk about. I kind of gotta let it dictate itself. But I'm gonna try to get around to talk about it, and I want y'all to call in or whatever. The backup channel is the Forecast Radio, like this one, but 24. The Forecast Radio 24 is in the description, and I'll put my email in the description because I'm trying to make a email list, mailing list, that if YouTube takes my video off, I can email you, but the files are kind of big, and sometimes it'll send, and sometimes it won't. So I got to think of something more reliable. But I want to say to all of those parents of the people, if I didn't cover it, I I'm gonna get to it as soon as I can. But I kind of need more information. And if you want to, you can call up, you can email me or whatever, and you can come on the forecast. But I do appreciate all of y'all reaching out to me. I hope that I do everybody that I talk about justice. I hope I do our ancestors justice. I hope I do y'all justice. I hope I do myself justice. And we're gonna keep it pushing, and I'm gonna try to be back with more lives, with more videos. So all of that is coming soon. So you want to subscribe to my backup channel, like I said, is in the description. And you want to subscribe to this channel because I'll be doing my lives here, and I'll try to put the new videos up on my backup channel. But we'll see what happens. But anyway, I appreciate talking to y'all. It was a good show, good calls. Thank y'all all for the calls and everything like that. And as always, man, we have got to start standing for something, or we're gonna keep falling for anything.